You know, that there are these ideas that just keep popping up across different spiritual paths and like personal growth stuff.
Hmm.
Ideas about connecting with something bigger,
Yeah.
something divine, maybe,
Yeah.
or that deeper part of ourselves, the higher self.
Right. That connection piece.
So for this deep dive, we've gathered a whole stack of sources that really get into that.
Yeah, exactly. We're looking at material that tries to define this energy, explain what the higher self is supposed to be in this context.
And crucially, gives practical ways you might actually connect with it all.
That's the goal.
Our mission today is really to, cut through some of the maybe more abstract talk and pull out the core insights and importantly, the actionable steps from what we've read.
Because these ideas, they can sound a bit out there, but the sources actually link them to pretty concrete real-world things.
Yeah, like getting sudden insights, finding more peace, boosting creativity, or just feeling generally, more balanced and well.
So maybe we should quickly get on the same page about how these sources define the main concepts, assuming, you listening have some familiarity already.
Good idea. Let's start with divine energy.
Huh.
How's that described?
Well, the material generally frames it as energy coming straight from what some call divine source.
Or the universe, God, goddess.
Right, or all that is, different names, same core idea. The main point is it's seen as this constant, abundant flow through everything, and it's all around you.
Okay.
It's presented as the actual source of creation, where ideas come from, thought forms, the stuff that eventually becomes, well, reality.
So this universal creative juice, basically.
Right.
And then there's the higher self, or sometimes divine self.
Yeah, and the sources describe that as existing at a level maybe even beyond the soul.
Okay.
Think of it as the actual, true essence of the universe that lives inside you. It's your personal hookup point to all that divine energy we just talked about.
Your inner connection.
Exactly. It's seen as the source of your inner light, your life force, the real deep motivation for why you do things. And yeah, it's a concept you find in places like Hinduism and New Age thought.
And one source had that interesting angle about the soul acting as a sort of go-between.
Yeah, like an intermediary, helping you connect to the divine self until maybe you can establish a more direct line yourself.
What a stepping stone.
Precisely. A stepping stone on that path to really getting that deeper connection humming within you.
Okay, so that sets the stage based on our sources. But why? Why try to connect? What do the sources say are the actual benefits?
Oh, the benefits listed are pretty compelling, honestly. They cover a lot of ground.
Like what?
Things like staying aligned with your soul purpose, clearing out resistance, getting rid of blocks that might be holding you back.
Stuff that gets in the way.
Yeah. And just generally bringing more meaning, more depth into your everyday life. That comes up a lot.
And even connected to like physical health and emotions.
Absolutely. Potential benefits mentioned include better physical health, more balance, greater emotional well-being, peace.
Peace sounds good.
Definitely. And accelerated spiritual growth is another one. One source, Gaia, I think, really emphasizes that contacting the divine self promises direct guidance, deep peace, harmony,
Wow.
illuminating light, and access to higher knowledge.
Higher knowledge. Okay.
And that same source makes this, quite strong claim that this connection helps you see past the purely physical distractions. It says it restores you in light, love, and power. It helps reveal illusions, desires, attachments, things that might keep you kind of stuck on a less fulfilling path.
So it helps you find a better way.
That's the idea, to find a higher path by recognizing those limiting energies or patterns.
It really paints the divine self as this kind of inner guide, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Always trying to show you an easier, more joyful way.
Yeah, not through struggle, but through tapping into its innate wisdom.
Okay, this is where I think it gets really interesting. If you are connecting, what does that actually feel like?
Yeah.
Or look like in your life? According to these sources, what are the signs?
One source, Hartman, gives a great rundown of potential signs. You might feel expansive.
Expansive? How so?
Like you're somehow bigger than just your physical body. You might feel this sense of unconditional love, both giving it and feeling really deeply loved yourself.
That sounds amazing.
Also a feeling of freedom, being open, not feeling totally tied down just by physical reality.
Liberating, yeah. What about those aha moments?
There's definitely mention. A sudden flash of insight, right? A powerful awareness, that classic light bulb moment where a solution just lands in your head.
That intuitive hit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's listed as a key sign.
Any other feelings? More subtle ones.
Feeling really safe and good in your own body, grounded.
Okay.
Also, noticing that you've stopped that endless loop of overthinking or overanalyzing everything.
Oh, that would be nice.
Right. And being fully present, just here, now, without the past dragging you back or the future pulling you forward. That's another big one.
Then what about creativity?
Ah, yes. Experiencing a burst of exciting, what the source calls juicy creative ideas or inspiration that's specifically mentioned as a sign you're tapping in.
It also mentions gratitude, right? For everything.
Yeah, even the challenges. Feeling a deep sense of gratitude for it all,
Yeah.
which is, a pretty powerful state just on its own.
For sure.
And connecting back to signs, the Gaia source points to synchronicities.
Ah, meaningful coincidences.
Exactly. Those uncanny little things happening as maybe another sign you're connecting with your higher self.
Okay, let's unpack this then. The million-dollar question. How do you actually
Wow.
do it? How do you connect?
Mm.
The sources seem to say it's not about like straining or forcing.
No, not at all. It's more about intention and creating the right conditions, being open.
Right. And a really central theme seems to be going within, finding inner stillness,
Yes, that comes up again and again.
and specifically shifting focus from the head.
Right, the head being, the rational mind, the ego, where all the worry and judgment and overthinking happens. The part that often doubts or censors your intuition.
Shifting from there to the heart.
Exactly. The heart, in this context, is seen as the gateway, the connection point to spirit, the divine mind. It holds this powerful light that's directly linked to that divine energy.
And one source gave that really vivid visualization for it.
Oh, the elevator visualization. Yeah.
Tell us about that.
The idea is you vividly imagine yourself shrinking down, like really small. You step into your own mouth, find a tiny little elevator inside,
Okay.
and there's a button labeled heart. You press it, and you feel yourself descending down into your heart space.
Wow. And once you're there,
In the
I
heart
understand.
space.
And you just explore it. You ask yourself questions like, what does it look like in here? What's the temperature? Is it inside or outside? What feelings are here?
Yeah.
And maybe, what does my heart need right now?
And the point is, the idea is that just being in that heart space kind of short circuits the overthinking mind. It bypasses the analysis and disconnect. And the feelings you're looking for, the signs you're there, are things like expansion, love, self-compassion, and just stillness.
That makes sense. And this links up with what another source, Gaia, says about contacting the higher self, starting with finding a quiet spot.
Absolutely. That source really stresses silence being vital.
Yeah.
Because the real connection happens beyond the noise of the mind and body.
So find a quiet place.
Set a clear intention. I intend to connect, I am open, I am ready to receive, something simple like that, and it makes a really important point.
Which is?
Don't worry if you don't feel fireworks the first time, or even the 10th time. The intention itself is what kicks things off, because, as it says, divine energy responds to your call.
Just setting the intention matters.
Massively. And then there's the practice of letting your thoughts go.
How does that work?
It's about actively cultivating that stillness. You consciously release the negative thoughts, the distracting ones. You can imagine yourself as infinite intelligence, love, wisdom, sensing that deep I underneath all the mental chatter, that pure awareness. By bringing your mind to stillness, letting go of the outside world, and inwardly asking your divine self to draw you closer, you strengthen the connection.
So consciously letting go of obstacle thoughts clears the way.
Exactly. It's seen as a powerful way to clear the channel, basically.
Now, besides stillness, is there a more active communication method suggested?
Yes, one source suggests simply speaking to the divine self.
Just talking to it.
Yeah, either silently in your mind or even quietly out loud when you're in that calm state. You can ask for specific divine guidance or insight or an answer to a question.
You expect an answer.
The belief presented is that the higher self communicates in that silence. Maybe not always in words you hear externally, but it imparts wisdom, power, love like a spiritual teacher. The key is just to notice. Notice any new thoughts, feelings, or urges that pop up afterwards.
Be aware of the shifts.
Yeah.
Got it. What about energy centers? Both sources mentioned the crown chakra.
Yes, the crown chakra, located right at the top of your head or maybe just slightly above it. It's consistently described as the main energy point connecting you directly to divine source.
And keeping it open is important.
Essential, according to these sources. It's needed to feel connected to something bigger, wiser than just your everyday self.
And visualization helps here too.
Very much so. You can picture it like an open cup ready to receive, or maybe like an open lotus flower, just beautiful and receptive, channeling that divine energy down into you.
And if it's closed?
The sources suggest that when you're stuck in your head, feeling disconnected or blocked, this chakra can kind of wilt or clench down. And that blocks the flow of higher guidance, support, light, and even connection with your guides if you believe in those.
So the practice is to consciously visualize it opening.
Exactly, like a sunflower turning towards the sun. One specific technique is invoking a beam of radiant light, imagining it coming directly from divine source, entering your crown, and then asking that light to heal, balance, and clear out any blocks or limitations you might be holding on to. And breathing deeply while you do this really helps maintain that flow.
And the other source connected this specifically to feeling more spiritually connected, having deeper intuition, feeling oneness.
Yeah, it seems like a really powerful focal point practice. It pulls a lot of these ideas together in one embodied visualization.
Interesting. The sources also mentioned accessing information, something called the Akashic Records.
Right, the Akashic Records. One source describes them as this huge, energetic library holding info about your own soul's journey, its evolution.
Yeah. Your personal soul history.
Kind of. And another source sees them more broadly as an ethereal library containing the collective knowledge, experiences, and wisdom of all souls across all time.
Wow, that's big. How does that connect to divine energy?
Well, one source suggests the records are actually made of divine energy, so accessing them can be a direct way to connect with that energy and the wisdom held within it.
And can just anyone access them?
The sources suggest yes, individuals can, usually through deep meditation, getting into a specific state of consciousness or frequency, or sometimes with the help of a skilled practitioner who guides you in.
And why would you want to?
Accessing them is said to offer really profound insights about your past, present, potential futures. It can facilitate deep healing, help you understand recurring challenges in your life, and bring clarity about your actual purpose.
Okay, shifting gears slightly. What about bringing this connection into the physical? Did the sources suggest any tools or, like, embodied practices?
Definitely. One source talks about using physical tools, things like tarot decks, oracle cards.
Ah, divination tools.
Yeah, or crystals, maybe crystal jewelry, runes, using a pendulum, even just lighting candles with intention.
Are these essential, though?
No, not at all. They're presented more as helpful aids, especially maybe if you're just starting out or want to deepen your practice. They give an example like lighting a candle, taking a moment to center, and pulling one tarot card each day. Just a simple ritual using a tool to help you tune in.
And tarot came up specifically in another source, too, right?
Yeah, the Gaia source highlighted tarot as a powerful way to access universal wisdom, get insights, uncover hidden stuff, receive guidance. It acts like a mirror, reflecting your energy back to you and providing clarity.
Like a symbolic language.
Exactly. And that source also mentioned yoga.
Yoga for divine connection.
Well, maybe not guaranteeing enlightenment, but described as a way to connect with your heart center, find inner peace through the movement and breath. It helps maintain a clear mental state, which supports personal growth and, potentially, spiritual connection.
So it prepares the ground.
Seems like it. And finally, let's circle back to something we mentioned earlier, just being receptive.
Right, that came up again.
Yeah, one source really emphasizes this. After you've set your intention, done a practice, whatever, the key is just to be receptive.
And what did that look like?
You might get an inner message, and the source notes it's totally normal if it just feels like your own thought. That's often how the higher self starts communicating.
Ah, okay.
Or connection might show up as just a subtle feeling of energy, a wave of peace, a sudden inner knowing, maybe just taking a deeper breath than usual, countless ways. The main thing is contact is made by your intention and willingness. Even if you don't feel something tangible right away, the insight, the energy, it often unfolds later on.
That makes it feel much less pressured, you know?
Totally. And that same source even suggests that really frequent short meditation breaks, like just 10 or 20 seconds throughout a busy day, can be super effective.
Just pause for a moment.
Yeah, just pause, get quiet inside, and inwardly ask for energy or guidance. Really quick, simple check-ins.
That integrates it into life, doesn't it? Instead of being this separate, huge task.
Exactly. Makes it sustainable.
And there was that interesting bit about gratitude research, too. How does that fit in?
Yeah, one source references Dr. Paul Mills defining gratitude as a way of seeing the world with a sense of heartfulness, a sense of embracingness, a sense of appreciation for all that is being experienced.
Heartfulness.
Right, a dispositional set where we walk around with gratitude for everything. And the source notes studies showing real health and well-being benefits from gratitude, even physiological effects on the heart.
So cultivating that gratitude, that heartfulness, it sounds like it ties right back into dropping into the heart space like we talked about earlier.
It really does. It feels like a practice that naturally creates the right inner state,
Yeah.
makes you more open to receiving these connections. It creates that supportive internal environment.
Wow. Okay. So we've really covered a lot of ground here. We've looked at how these sources frame divine energy and the higher self, the potential benefits they talk about, what it might actually feel like if you're connecting,
Yeah, those signs.
and then a whole range of methods going within to the heart, direct communication, working with the crown chakra, accessing wisdom like the Akashic records, using physical tools, yoga.
And maybe most importantly, just being receptive, even for tiny moments.
The core message seems to be that this connection isn't some like far off mystical thing for gurus only.
Hmm.
It's presented as something accessible through intention and just being open.
That really comes through consistently in the material, yeah.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now?
Well, it means these sources offer a whole toolkit, really. Different lenses, different practices you can explore to potentially deepen your connection with yourself, and with that, something larger, whatever that means to you. And maybe the most striking takeaway for me is that constant message. This energy, this wisdom, it's always there, it's always available, and according to these sources, it's responding to your call.
Which leads to a final thought to maybe sit with. If